Hello, everyone. Very glad to be at this fantastic conference. Boy, hearing Peter yesterday talking up here about the conference, I'm thrilled to be here. Haven't spoken on stage for 4 years now, something like that. Haven't been amongst a group of colleagues for 4 years, so what a wonderful thing it is. I'm just delighted to be here. What I want to talk about is some terminology. We've heard some of this terminology today. The metadata, we just heard about that. We heard about AI and machine learning this morning, and we hear about the metaverse. Fortunately, we haven't been subjected to that much here today or at this conference, but wait till next year, and we'll be talking about the metaverse. These terms, we have a familiarity with them, but what kind of a handle do we have on them? I want to go to this next set of terms, which are the ones that I'm really here to talk about today. And we have these 4 ugly terms: blockchain, cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin. We have Web3, and we have NFTs. These, in a world of ugly terms, these ones stand out, I think, really as special ugly terms because they're all interlinked. You can't understand any of them unless you understand all of them, which makes them even worse than all the other technical terms that we scratch our heads about. And so with this NFTs, I decided that I would come and talk to you today about NFTs and publishing. And so thankless task. Tough terms, but here we go. Little background about me, just what brought me here today. I call myself a publishing analyst. It's a catch-all kind of term. I've been in the tech weeds for a long time with Kevin. I've been in the metadata weeds. I work with a couple of partners, in a group called Publishing Technology Partners. I'm an adjunct professor at Pace in the Masters of Publishing program teaching metadata. And then I write for Publishers Weekly. I just joined as a contributing editor covering publishing innovation and book publishing startups, which I'll allow a little segue there because I've been fixated on book publishing startups for about a decade now, including the 2 generations that Michael has observed are extinct. I've got a report. They've left the brochure out on the side table. In these 10 years that I've been tracking these startups, I issued a report in 2017. There were 900 of them. I'm about to do an update to the report that'll be published next month by Publishers Weekly, and there will be 1,300 of them in there, including about 400 that have passed away, which in some sense is sort of sad, but also instructive, and also actually lower than most industries. The extinction rate within publishing is actually lower than the startup extinction rate across most industries, which was surprising to me. Anyway, out of all of those, we're seeing a lot more investment than we saw when I did the report 5 years ago. But what then leads into today's talk is when I went through the list the other day, I found 36 of them were specifically targeting NFTs in the blockchain. 36 startups with this term that we don't even know what it means. So there they are. This database will be online next month. You'll be able to access it. We're going to put it online when we issue the report at PW, and you'll be able to drill down by categories. I've got everything categorized by product offering and amount of money invested, and a lot of different detail on each company, but 36 of them are focused around NFTs in the blockchain. So let's go to some definitions about these 4 tricky terms. I'm sure many people in this audience have tried to get a handle on this stuff, and I've been trying for a long time, and I'll bring to you my exploration to date. For the term blockchain, I turned to a colleague, Bill Rosenblatt, and he came up with an explanation that I think is relatively good for something that's pretty esoteric. He says, think about a spreadsheet. And a spreadsheet that no one person owns, anybody can add a row to that spreadsheet, and at the same time, your copy of that spreadsheet will be updated. You'll be able to see that row that's been added. You can add rows to the spreadsheet, but you can't take any away. So, at first I wanted to use this as like Google Sheets metaphor, but if it's locked, then you can't edit or add to it. But if it's unlocked, then you could take stuff away. In the blockchain, it's fixed. You can see what's been added to it. You can't take anything away from it, and everybody can see it all at the same time. No way to change or delete. Within this, now we have this thing called NFTs, which has an even more unfortunate root, meaning non-fungible tokens. And we won't go down fungibility versus non-fungibility, but NFTs we'll define as, number one, digital files secured on this blockchain spreadsheet-y kind of thing. And because they're secured on this immutable blockchain, the ownership is established that way. And because they're uniquely situated on this spreadsheet kind of thing, we've created a situation where there's scarcity. There's only one. Each one can only be locked into one location on this immutable blockchain. This scarcity, as we'll see, also has a few other little characteristics about it, but let's leave it there for a moment. Cryptocurrencies have to be brought into this equation. So I use this technical term, newfangled currencies that reside on the blockchain. That's a cryptocurrency. We hear about Bitcoin and Ethereum. So those are examples of cryptocurrencies. They have some putative advantages that you'll hear about. And these putative advantages, sometimes it's like, doesn't money do that already? But anyway, cost effective. I hadn't seen the lack of cost effectiveness of money, but apparently. But then we see these other advantages, that it can't be tracked, it can't be seized, it can't be stolen, which makes it optimized for organized crime and drug dealers as a primary use case. As a secondary use case, also very good for buying NFTs. And I think all of us have seen headlines around cryptocurrencies. We recognize a certain amount of controversy around the ownership of cryptocurrencies. Then you'll hear a term Web3, and that adds in our next level. Web3, then what's that? What Web3 means, again, my very technical definition, a vague new iteration of the internet, of the web, that encompasses all this stuff. That's Web3. It doesn't seem to have a very much more precise definition than that. And so just trying to bring it together a little bit, NFTs then are digital files secured on the blockchain, purchased usually with cryptocurrencies. Anything you do to talk about NFTs, blockchain, all this stuff, brackets get used a lot because there's lots of, well, on the other hand, but then there's this and so on and so on. So there, you'll see a few brackets at times. The location of these NFTs on the blockchain is what makes them, for the most part, unique. So what's the value proposition from a book publishing perspective? This is what's being postulated, put out there, and I'm going to show you some examples of actual companies and use cases, and you can try and judge whether or not this value proposition is beginning to play out. So on the one hand, these NFTs are supposedly, unique, valuable collectibles. Okay, good. That then gives an additional revenue stream for authors and or their publishers. It creates an alternative to Amazon, which is, of course, something that is appealing to more than one person in this room. I think all of us have a lot of interest on seeing alternatives to Amazon. And then there's a DRM-ish aspect to NFTs. Again, this is a technical side of it that has, it's worth a couple hour session on its own, but this unique placement of these assets on the blockchain ensures a kind of security that's DRM-like. And so it's a feature, let's call it that for now. And with all of this stuff going on and the value of these NFTs, a lot of authors and publishers are postulating that this will create a new kind of community, a more intimate kind of community. It certainly will be intimate if someone's just spent $500 buying one of your NFTs. But then we have lots of dilemmas and doubts as well. There are very few, depending on the particular system, but for the most part, there are very, very few restrictions on copying or viewing of these NFTs, and we'll see a little bit more about that in just a second. We're also, this financial bubble that I showed the headline there, this is problematic, and the fraud, of course, is all over the place, and this is problematic. We're going to talk a little bit more about cryptocurrencies. Complexity of this stuff is through the roof. If you go to my blog at thefuturepublishing.com, I documented my attempt 2 weeks ago to actually purchase an NFT. And after several hours and spending money with a number of vendors and so on, I still didn't own the NFT at the end of it. So the complexity is just crazy. And then you'll hear a lot of people who've been looking at this suggesting that all of these putative advantages can be achieved by other means. And there's really a very interesting, nuanced argument around this as to whether or not you can do all this stuff anyway. People will say that. I'm not convinced that's true, but the argument can be easily made. Now, I don't know if anyone here has heard about the Bored Ape Yacht Club, or if anyone's a member. Bored Ape Yacht Club is 10,000 cartoon-like images of apes, and they're the ones that are sort of the poster child for NFT absurdity right now. This particular image, I was able to go last night and download it, and yet it sells for $3.4 million. And so we see two things here, maybe several things here anyway. One is that the asset is not protected. The only way to protect the unique, the $3.4 million one, is to, hook it into the blockchain. That's this artificial scarcity aspect of it. The thing can be infinitely replicated. But this scarcity thing is what's driving so much of the energy around NFTs so far. So now let's get this finally into the book space. Here's a case study of a book NFT that sold a week ago like hotcakes. There's an author named Joe Nassis, very nice guy. We talked for a couple hours about his excitement of his first NFT. So this book called The Heretic, which is part of a series of horror novels that he's written over the years. This thing was actually published in 2017 on Amazon. You can buy it right now as a Kindle edition for $6.99. A week ago, this company, Book, that I'll look at it a little bit more in a second, Book issued 2,764 unique copies with 111 unique covers, some of which you can see flipping through there. And they put them on sale October 20th at a price of 55 ADAs. And we'll look at ADAs in just a moment. Complexity, complexity, complexity. ADAs translate at about 20 bucks. 55 ADAs, about 20 bucks. They all sold in 45 seconds, which was slow because some of the other NFTs at Book have sold in as few as 11 seconds. They sell it like crazy right now. There's a madcap market for this stuff. Book.io, they're just Book, but Book.io on the web. They're the kind of current poster child for what's going on in bookish NFTs, in publishing NFTs. They've got the investment, as we'll see. They call themselves simply an NFT marketplace for buying, reading, selling ebooks and audiobooks, though so far they've only got ebooks. They were founded like yesterday. When I was investigating the company, it's like, well, it's when were you founded? July, and you're already profitable. Yeah, we were profitable within the first couple weeks. Okay, that sounds good. They offer a 70-30 split like most of the ebook retailers, but there's this other thing you can do because they're NFTs is you can control the resale market. And this is another big parenthetical around this in terms of the putative advantages that are going to grow up around NFTs, is for the first time there will be a way to enforce and monetize the resale of ebook assets. A whole separate discussion there, but file that one away. And Book have also created yet another cryptocurrency called book tokens. And the idea of a book token is that when you buy an ebook on Book and you read the ebook, which they'll be able to track because they've got you recorded through the blockchain, you will be rewarded with some of this special cryptocurrency based on the amount of the book you read. So they're adding another little interesting crypto feature. And then they have yet another feature called mint and print, registered trademark. And mint and print is where you now take your NFT and print it at Ingram, thereby attracting Ingram to invest in the company, as well as Bertelsmann, which means Penguin Random House have invested in the company. So they're right now the hot player in this space. Now I mentioned that you purchase these NFTs with ADA, which is like Bitcoin or Ethereum, but this one's actually called on the Cardano, is the Cardano currency. And like many of these currencies, this is the chart of the last year. In the last year, it's lost 80% of its value. So I checked about the last 5 days. In the last 5 days, it's actually gained nearly 7% in value. And I got to thinking yesterday where we were talking about the problem of fixed prices at book retail. Wouldn't it be fun if we could just switch them all over to ADA? And then every time you go into the store, you don't know how much you're going to be paying for the book or what it's going to be worth by the time you get it home. And this is a unique aspect of the excitement of buying NFT books. Let's go to another startup. Alexandria Labs is another one that's very focused on the kind of community aspect of the NFT value proposition. So if you publish through Alexandria Labs, you can receive additional chapters, updated editions, exclusive editions, behind-the-scenes notes, future content, discounts, events, and correspondence from the author in perpetuity. Now there's a bonus that I want to get. And you unlock a community of people aligned with your interests, and they only charge 15% commissions. There's another differentiator over at Alexandria Labs. At NiftyLit, we're going with the serialized proposition. At NiftyLit, you can buy short poems, fiction, little bits of nonfiction, buy an NFT of that individual item, or you can buy the anthology and buy an NFT of that. That's their value proposition. Pearson, it was mentioned yesterday in one of the presentations, they made an announcement a couple of months ago that they're going to get behind NFTs. What are you going to do with them? Well, we're hoping to get something on the resale market of digital textbooks, and a little bit vague, but at any rate, by throwing their hat into the ring, they've added a little bit onto the credibility thing around NFTs. And then another company out of Japan, MediaDo, who have bought Firebrand and Superdoo, they're doing a flip around on this. When you buy a print book that MediaDo has published, you get an NFT as a reward for buying the print book. There's a little code on the book, and you're rewarded with an NFT for buying the print book. And this apparently is having a very positive effect on print sales of MediaDo books. So bringing it towards a summary, what are the opportunities? I see a number of opportunities in discussion with people around the industry. There's plenty of IP in books. When you think about how many books there are, how many books in print, how many books out of print, all the content in all those books, there's a lot of opportunities for extracting digital assets out of that IP. So far, when you look again across the NFT space, there's not a heck of a lot going on in book publishing, so there's still a lot of room to maneuver. But when I see where the opportunity may lie, the NFT mining process is still very heavy duty, too complex, needs to be simplified. And we also are going to need an NFT marketplace. Kobo, your next opportunity is to start selling NFTs, and you'll get ahead of Amazon because they don't do that yet. In conclusion then, NFTs are real. For all the goofiness about them all, there's money changing hands. There's some degree of reality if we use that as our barometer. However, the bubble scenario, it's real. Clearly, there's some real issues here in terms of the risks related to the currency. So the whole idea that things are going to blow up completely, I find that quite plausible. Publishing, as I say, is a small player and could become a much bigger player in this space. What I saw in doing my investigation over the last month or so is outside of publishing, there's just a huge amount of energy here. The amount of innovation going on in this space is breathtaking, is absolutely breathtaking. And the other thing that struck me finally is, and it's such early days, such early days. It's just beginning. So it's really, I can't wait to follow the next chapter of it. Thank you.